Hello again, and on behalf of the Cultural Communications Alliance and the University of Pittsburgh Global Studies Center, we welcome you to the International Marketing Workshop. My name is Maya Konitzer, and I'm a program manager here at the Global Studies Center at the University of Pittsburgh. Today's workshop was created to help you prepare for the final competition that will take place on May 3rd in the afternoon hours. We also welcome our two presenters who will further explore with you the topic of doing business in Mexico, as well as the language and culture aspect of Mexico. I will introduce our first presenter in a moment, but would like to turn it over briefly to my colleague, Veronica Tristas, to welcome you all.
Thank you, Maya, and thank you all for participating. I will be extremely brief, but on behalf of the Cultural Communication Alliance and the Global Studies Center here at Pitt, one of the reasons we love doing this competition is that we feel that as global citizens, these are important skills that you're learning about other cultures, learning language, and really understanding that we are part of a larger picture and that we need to be integrated with each other and not to make assumptions about other cultures, and to really see where we can find common place, but to really understand also other cultures and other people. And this, I think you have two wonderful presenters that Maya is about to introduce who will help you lead to that competition in May. I ask that all of you take this extremely serious. We have our sponsors, GNC, who will be part of the judging. And we have had in the past winning teams who have been consultants for our companies because they've done such a great job. So really see this as a great learning experience and with a potential to maybe a future career in what you would like to do. So thank you.
Thank you, Veronica. And with those two brief introductions from us, I'd like to now introduce our first speaker, and that is Matt Billeter. Matt was born and raised in the Pittsburgh area and currently lives with his wife and daughter in the South Side Flats section of the city. He has worked for Lanxess Corporation since 2000, and his current title is Business Manager Mexico, Sales Manager Plastics North America. And with that, Matt, I will turn it over to you.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, well, thank you very much for the introduction, and thank you for the opportunity to speak with everyone today. I'm going to be talking about my most recent role in my career, which has been managing our business in Mexico, the same business that I've been working with my whole career, but just going into a different country and different culture, and everything that's happened with this in the past few years. Sorry, trying to get to the next slide here. Let me do this. Okay, sorry about that. Hopefully we don't have to do that every time. So as a first to start, as a background about me, I graduated from Hopewell High School, which is in Beaver County, in 1996, and I graduated from West Virginia University in 2000 with a degree in chemical engineering. I had 1 week in between my last final and my first day of work. I started with Lanxess Corporation which at the time was Bayer. We're a German company. Our office is in the Robinson Township area of Pittsburgh. And now I've been there for 22 years almost. I've been married for 17 years. I have one daughter who's now 4.5. And, basically I have a lot of just kind of normal hobbies and do a lot of things that a lot of people like to do, travel, sports, music. We have Penguins season tickets, do a lot of traveling, a lot of concerts, and include our daughter with it. So that's a good, something that's gone really well for us, being able to include her as part of our life too. About my career, as I mentioned, it's been 22 years. The products I work with are inorganic pigments. So their colors, the main colors we use are red, yellow, and black. We also do, those are iron oxides. We also do chrome oxide green pigments. As I had mentioned, I was an engineer or had an engineering degree. So I actually started in the technical service side of the business. In 2003, they suggested that I try sales, which I did and liked, and did that for a lot of years. And then in 2013, I was promoted to be a sales manager. And then my last promotion, and the reason for this presentation, is in 2019, I had the opportunity to become our business manager for the country of Mexico. About the pictures I have here a little bit, you can see Bayfrox is our trade name. We have our three main applications are concrete products, paints, and plastics. So you can see the concrete block there that would be colored with our pigments. A yellow paint that you would buy from a Sherwin-Williams or a PPG likely has our pigment in it as well. And then I've included this ad. We've definitely had some more high profile projects over the years. This one was from a previous soccer World Cup in South Africa, which all the panels to the main stadium were made in concrete and containing our pigments. And one of the other ones that we like to talk about is our pigments are specified in the paint that goes on the Eiffel Tower in Paris. So every time it gets repainted, that's our pigments that make that paint for that. So in 2019, as I mentioned, I had a new opportunity, which I was not expecting and never really planned on, but just quickly to tell the story, it happened very quickly. We got a call one day that the gentleman who was managing the business living in Mexico City had moved to a different business at Lanxess. Our main boss in Germany said that he was not hiring someone else new, so it was decided that someone was going to have to handle this. It came to me. I remember going home that day from the office and telling my wife about it and kind of laughing, thinking, yeah, I'm really going to be managing the business in Mexico. And 2 or 3 days later, it was official that, officially asked to do it, and decided to move forward with it. So, and it's been a great experience. Again, nothing that I ever expected. I never, studied anything with foreign countries or was interested in doing something like this, but it's been a great experience, and I've learned a lot from it. So the first thing that became a issue for me immediately was the language. I studied German in high school, so I've never had any formal Spanish lessons before I accepted this position. As you can see there, under the middle section with my family, my wife and my mother-in-law are both fluent Spanish speakers. My mother-in-law was actually born in Mexico and moved to the U.S. in her teenage years. And that was kind of one of the reasons why they came to me and asked and, said, well, we know that Matt has family that's from Mexico, and maybe it would make sense for him to do it. So that was my in on getting the position. but so other things with language that I'm working on is, I have a private teacher who's been great. We have 1 or 2 lessons per week. I just had a lesson with him this morning. He is native to Mexico, which has been the most important factor for me, because not only can he teach the structure of the language, but he also can tell me a lot of cultural things and maybe things that I shouldn't say or should say, or certain ways of saying things that would be a lot more native to a Mexican citizen. So that's been a big help. As I mentioned, my family does help me. Both my wife and mother-in-law will speak occasionally, and for practice. We're already teaching my daughter, who I mentioned was 4 years old, reading books in Spanish to her and things like that, which helps me as well. And for as an app, I'm using Duolingo, and these other factors are the best practice, but having that and keeping a streak, and it makes to spend even 3 minutes per day with it is a good just to keep it fresh in your mind and keep thinking about the language is very helpful as well too. As far as doing the business, I did want to share one story about this, and it's not related to Mexico, but it's something that's stuck with me for many years, at least 15 years now. The first time my wife and I vacationed in Italy, we were in Venice, and we were kind of nervous because it was the first time we had gone to Europe together, and we didn't speak any Italian. She knew her Spanish, and we know that Spanish and Italian are fairly similar languages, but still, the first night we sat down for dinner, very hesitant, and said hello and everything to the waiter, and asked him, do you speak English at all? And his response was, well, I'm in Venice, Italy, and I'm in the restaurant business. So if I don't know how to speak English, I'm not going to be successful. And like I said, that stuck with me for a lot of years. Us as, being from the United States are lucky in that English is the universal language of business. So, most times throughout my career, I've had to have people adapt to my language rather than learning a bunch of different languages. But in this case, learning the language was one of the first things that was important for me to have the confidence of my colleagues and customers to be able to do the job and work with them, even, being from a different country and a different culture. So some of the things about the culture of Mexico that I've noticed over the years, I'll go through them as I have them on the list here. Safety, a lot of people, friends and family have made, thought, well, is that really safe to go to Mexico all the time? And I've never felt unsafe or threatened or everything. It's, Mexico City is a great city. I really enjoy it, just like some of the other large cities in the world that I've been to. But one thing that has stuck out in making sales calls all these years in the United States and Canada, I never thought twice about leaving my laptop in the vehicle when I would go to make a sales call. But I quickly learned from my colleagues that the idea of theft of a laptop or electronic devices in the car is a pretty regular thing. So I've gotten the habit of bringing those all with me and to visit with customers. Hospitality, it's the welcomes I've gotten from customers have been amazing. Things that I've never had happen in the United States, and maybe the closest thing to it might have been in Canada a few times, but the customers are very welcoming. I've had customers that prepared a whole breakfast spread with food and coffee and everything. So it's definitely a little bit different culture than meeting just a customer in the US where, at most you might have a coffee. And I'd also share that one of my strategies in sales over all the years is to not really accept drinks or food or anything during a meeting, because I feel that it helps me to concentrate on the meeting. rather than having coffee or eating or anything. But in Mexico, I've noticed that that's really, that they really prefer that if they're offering you something like that, that you take it and eat and drink with them. So that's something I've actually made another change I've made, and go ahead and having some coffee or food during a meeting with a customer. Meals, I really enjoy the food, always have, because I've had the family connection. But it's also interesting to me that lunch is not until 2 p.m. and it's the largest meal of the day, which was something that really was different from anything I was used to. We don't set up a customer lunch for 11:30. We set up a customer lunch for 2 o'clock, and usually we eat so much that's we're not going to make another visit after that. Whereas in the U.S., I typically would do a morning lunch and an afternoon visit. So that changed a bit. Also, it's been interesting to learn the culture. You don't order fajitas in Mexico. That's not really a Mexican thing. No one in Mexico drinks a Corona beer. There's definitely more local things. So it's not like we perceive it sometimes based on television commercials and movies and shows and so on. The holidays and traditions has been really important. Often, I have to remember on a Monday morning sometimes when I wake up and turn on my laptop and think, well, no one from Mexico is online today, but it's a holiday. So keeping track of those sorts of things and, the way they do things has been really important. And again, it's all part of the, getting them to feel comfortable with me. And me showing the importance and backing the way that they have their traditions and holidays and so on. And lastly, on here I have the time management. It's you might have heard comments, and I think this is more all of Latin America, more so than just Mexico, but that the time doesn't mean the same thing as it does in the United States. And I would say that's true. So I've had to get used to, going to a meeting that is, for example, at 11 a.m. and it could easily be 11:45 before they would, be ready to start the meeting. And I see this in the Zoom meetings that we've had during the pandemic the past couple of years too, that, often could be 20, 30, 40 minutes before the customer joins the meeting after the time it's scheduled. So just something else that has been another thing to get used to and different from what I was familiar with. My biggest takeaway from all this with the culture, I have simply something that is not completely correct is better than nothing. And I've never had a colleague or a customer make fun of me for trying to speak Spanish or saying the wrong thing or anything like that. It's always, very much appreciated when I can speak a little bit, or I'm familiar with their holiday that's coming up, or things like this. So it's something I need to teach myself too, in addition to giving as advice. But it's always better to try your best instead of just kind of ignoring the situation and not saying anything. A couple comments on some of the differences in business. I don't expect anyone to know any of our products. I didn't know that iron oxide pigments existed before I started working with them. But just an example, we have red pigments, 110, 120, and 130. In the US, everyone uses 110 and 130 and mixes them. I found really quickly that in Mexico, everyone uses 120. So it's a pigment that we hardly sell in the US, but it's our top volume pigment by far in Mexico. Specialty products, we have different grades that are more special for paints or plastics. In Mexico, they tend to not use those and just use the regular products. So that was a big switch also, knowing that we have these products that are made for coatings or plastics, but the customers in Mexico tend just to still use the basic products. Some of the other more specialty applications that our products go into, I have this picture here, waterproofing coatings. This was something I had no idea existed, but in Mexico, probably 15 to 20% of our total business goes into these products. And this is, goes into the rainy season in the summer of Mexico City. And, people with their homes and buildings and so on tend to have these coatings that go on their roof. And so it's a very important market in Mexico that I had to learn that doesn't really exist in the US. And backwards of that, you're probably familiar with mulch products for your yards and gardens and so on. In the US, we sell a lot of material to these products, but in Mexico, that's not familiar and no one knows really what it is. It's not used. So, something that I thought, oh, maybe this would be a good market to explore. It just really doesn't exist there. So in summary, when you work with one product and for one company for a long time, like I have, I know it's not very popular or not the way that things happen very much these days. I'm kind of the exception, I would say. But when that happens, you can tend to get a little bit bored with certain assignments after you've done them for so long. And I was kind of at that point, and this came up with this opportunity, and it really rejuvenated my career and made me a lot very interested in doing being in my industry again, and the amounts that I've learned and been able to share with others has been amazing so far. Like I said, no one has treated me badly or with any disrespect. I was really worried that there would be a lot of concerns, especially from my team, the people working for me, that do we really want to be working for someone based in Pittsburgh that's an American that doesn't speak Spanish very well? But, after working with them for a while, it was, they really appreciated, like I said, that I tried to learn their culture and their language and everything, and it's worked out really well. And, I will still have to work another probably 20 years or so before I retire. But, even if I have a new assignment and I'm no longer working in Mexico, it's certainly been a great learning experience that I could apply to other positions, other assignments that I might have. And, like I mentioned, traveling is one of my favorite hobbies. Been to Europe many, many times. Still need to go to South America. Been to Australia, been to Asia, been a lot of different places. And, the traveling through Mexico has, seen a lot of things that I definitely would not get to see otherwise. So, it's, while it's my career, it's also a hobby and very enjoyable to me as well, too. So I hope I'm okay with time, but that's all the slides that I had presented for today and everything I wanted to talk about. So are there any questions from anyone?
Thank you, Matt. Yeah, please.
What's your favorite Mexican dish?
Yeah, very good question. I mean, there's so many of them, right? I do like tamales a lot, which is something that you don't see as often in, American Mexican restaurants. So I would definitely say that's up there. But and the eating a taco locally is not the same there as what it is here in the Pittsburgh area also. So yes, there's a lot of good choices.
Absolutely. Unless have you gone to the spot in Brookline? They have good tacos, authentic.
Check that out for sure.
Kappa, please unmute and ask.
Oh, I was just going to ask, aside from just like sort of experiencing the culture and customs and learning that way, did you do anything before you started your position to sort of like prepare for what some of the cultural norms will be, or like what sort of research did you do before you started your position?
As far as cultural, not much. And like I said, I didn't have very much time. The other person had left already, and it all happened very quickly. What I did have time to do was research the business. So I these things that I mentioned about it being different products used in different markets, I did get a chance to research a lot of that. But culture-wise, not so much. I was kind of thrown into it. Like I said, I do have my mother-in-law who, is familiar more with the culture, and we definitely talked about it a bit. But
Thank you.
Matt, could you tell us a little if there is a difference or what the difference is between what your company does and Covestro?
yes, so our company was once part of Bayer, as Covestro was once part of Bayer. We were more the chemicals products, and Covestro is more resins, I would say. Resins that go into different paints and plastics, whereas we're more chemical additives at Lanxess.
Thank you. And I'm sorry if English is my second language, so I was gonna ask, what does inorganic stand for when you say inorganic pigments?
Sure. So inorganic is non-carbon containing, whereas there are a whole variety of organic pigments that are carbon containing.
Pine Richland has a question.
What did you find to be like the biggest business difference between like Mexico and America?
I think that what I mentioned about the hospitality has been the biggest thing. It's so different going to make a sales call, whereas here, maybe you have some small talk, maybe whatever, but it's more down to business. But there, it's more of an event. I mean, everyone wants to chat and talk, and they, want to know all the things that I do in Pittsburgh and what is Pittsburgh. I don't know if anyone's familiar, but in general, Mexico's favorite American football team is the Steelers. So customers love it that when I tell them I'm from Pittsburgh and live right by the stadium. So yeah, they like to talk about all those things. And we get to business eventually, but it is just more of a friendly conversation, I would say.
Go ahead, Mount Lebo.
I was just gonna ask, when you're like looking at like marketing for your specific products, do you think if you were in the United States that the demographic that you're looking at would be different in like age range or anything like that? Or do you think it's pretty similar?
I think the demographic is pretty similar. I mean, we have, customers of, some owners of companies that are retirement age, owners of companies that are, a lot younger, still definitely like a lot of, it varies a lot of the types of people we meet with. And that's the case for both the US and for Mexico. So, and I think, there's definitely other businesses where that would be more of a factor, I think, but in the chemicals business, it's not as much of a difference.
So my question is, have you noticed like is there a lot of interest in like the Mexican soccer league, like Liga MX? Is that something that's very talked about and popular?
It is. It is. And I'm a huge soccer fan myself, more so than some of the other American sports. Unfortunately, my two salespeople that work for me aren't big sports fans, so I don't often have people to talk to about it. But I have definitely followed the standings and, paying attention to who's winning the league, who's, who had played recently, whatever, in case if it does come up with customers.
Oh, all right. Thank you.
Sure. I mean, I'm first and foremost, I'm a FC Barcelona fan, but I have been watching the Mexican League too. So.
Do we have another question from anybody? Did Pine Richland just raise their hand? If yes, please go ahead and ask.
Yes, could you tell us if you know much about the infrastructure of roads and transportation of products via roads and highways?
Sure. So basically the main business centers in Mexico, I would consider to be Mexico City and Guadalajara and all the space in between, several other states in between. That's where we do most of our business. The only other main place would be the city of Monterrey, which is kind of unique on its own. So yes, there are some newer toll roads that go pretty much all the way in between Mexico City and Guadalajara. So based on where our business is, we really don't see any issues with that. It's pretty similar to the way trucking companies work in the US, and it's not, I wouldn't say that there's any issues with it. Now into other parts of the country, the South, some to the West Coast, where we don't really sell to those areas very much and our distributors do. I would imagine that there is probably more concern with how the product would be delivered. But in Mexico City, the roads are sufficient enough and close to our warehouse, and it hasn't been a problem.
If there are no other questions, I'd like to once again thank you, Matt, for your time and for your expertise in giving us the information that we will most likely use in our presentations during the
Sure
final
thing.
competition.
Thank you for the opportunity.
And you're welcome to stay with us
Sure.
for the next segment as I introduce our next speaker. Yusuf Abdul Wahab received his bachelor's degree in cultural anthropology and master's degree in foreign language education at the University of Pittsburgh. He worked as a high school Spanish teacher in Prince George County, Maryland for 5 years, and he currently is in his third year teaching at Central Bucks School District in Pennsylvania. Yusuf learned Spanish during his semester study abroad in Guanajuato, Mexico, where he was immersed in Mexican culture, living with two different host families. In Guanajuato, he attended the School of Languages as well as the University of Guanajuato, taking classes on Mexican history, literature, language, and culture. This study abroad led him to pursue more experiences, including research of sustainable agriculture in Nicaragua, teaching English in Chile, and living and studying in 13 plus Spanish-speaking countries. As a high school Spanish teacher, Yusuf loves to integrate the experiences he garnered in all of these countries into his lessons to connect his students to people and places throughout the Spanish-speaking world. And with that introduction, Yusuf, thank you for being with us, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you very much. Muchas gracias. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Just bear with me 1 second while I do that. I'm getting it's saying host disabled participant screen sharing, or
Try now, please.
Okay. Awesome. Let's do screen. Going to all right. All right. Buenas tardes a todos. Ahora yo voy a presentar cómo presentar tu producto en México con éxito. Different stuff you need to know to be successful in whether it's giving a business presentation, una presentación de negocio, or just simply interacting with Mexicans in the field of business overall. Definitely overlapping on some of the stuff that Matt had shared with us. So the first thing I would, first of all, which schools are being represented right now? I see Kappa, Pine Richland, and Mount Lebo. Is there any other schools that I'm missing? Is that everybody? Okay, excellent. So I will be asking estudiantes de las escuelas diferentes to share out every now and then. So don't get too comfortable. Get ready to participate. The first thing I would like us to do, you can see the screen and everything, presentation? It's good? Okay. Here, let me put this down here. Oh, but now I can't see. Okay, there we go. All right. Entonces vamos a ver primero una serie de anuncios, or commercials, or advertisements mexicanos. And I want you to think on these two questions. ¿Cuáles cosas observan entre los anuncios? And ¿qué tienen en común los anuncios? So we're going to watch a couple commercials in Mexico. And I want you guys to think, what kind of what observations can you make across the different commercials? What do they have, and what themes or different aspects do they have in common, or just in general, what things do you pick up from the different commercials as we watch them? Okay, so observan las cositas. Vamos a ver. I'm going to start about right here. And before we, I just want to make sure you can hear this sound. Can you hear the audio?
Yes.
Okay, excelente. All right, chicos, get ready to observe. Can you guys see this part too? Like with, it's probably in the way. Go like that.
Te voy a presentar a mi hijo. Es un guapo. Le encantan los niños, baila de todo. Es sensible.
¿No quiere echarle más crema?
Bueno.
¿Cómo nos encanta echarle crema? Y si le vas a echar crema, que sea la mejor. Alpura, la crema preferida de todos. Hola.
Mariano subió un baile.
Mi corazón.
Con amigo Kit lo tengo todo. Su amigo imaginario saca lo mejor de ella. Un cachorrito también. Pedigrí, alimenta lo bueno.
Pato, ¿cuál es el nuevo reto?
El reto ganador.
¿Y qué gano?
Tiempo, aire y hasta un auto.
¿Y todos ganan?
Sí, y está muy fácil. Solo abre o ahorra 500 pesos o más en tu cuenta de Banco Azteca. Deja los 7 días y ya ganaste 50 pesos de tiempo aire. Y si los mantienes por 14 días, ganas un boleto para el concurso del auto. Cada 500 pesos adicionales es otro boleto.
¡Participa!
Banco Azteca. Sueñas, decides, logras.
¿Me pasa la mayonesa barbecue?
Es sabor guacamole.
¿Por qué dije barbecue?
Mayonesa barbecue.
Habanero, ¿no?
Más mayonesa barbecue. Digo, chipotle.
La nueva mayonesa barbecue ya está en boca de todos. Mayo Sabores McCormick. Transforma el sabor.
Se acabó la barbecue.
Para ese antojo.
Okay. All right. Bueno. Entonces, I would like you guys to share out any observations you made. Oops. Go. Okay. It looks like we got something from El Muchacho Muy Guapo de Mount Libo. Adelante.
I noticed almost all the ads had music in them.
Yeah, I
So
thought
it
they
seems
were
like-
very energetic too.
Yeah, like a lot of upbeat kind of things.
Very, very good. So upbeat, mucha música, lots of energy. Excelente. What about Kappa? ¿Qué observaron?
They were really upbeat, and there was a lot of like people interacting with other people.
Excellent.
And like visual images as well.
Very good. Muy bien. Excelente. What school haven't we heard from yet? Pine Richland. Can we get an observation from you guys?
Yeah. So in addition to what everyone else said, we also said there was a lot of dialogue and a lot of narration, something other than the music to also listen to. And there were a lot of different colors and things popping up on screen.
Excellent. Muy bien hecho. Good job, guys. That was very good. Everyone gets an A+ on your observations. So we're going to talk about 6 elementos fuertes de la cultura mexicana that are reflected in almost every commercial. I'm not sure if you're going to create a commercial or you're creating a presentation on your product, but whatever the case may be, if you incorporate these 6 strong elements of Mexican culture, you will be successful. So not in all of these commercials, but in a lot of them, they focus on la familia y la comunidad. So very family friendly and community oriented. No matter what the product is, it's usually always appealing to the family and the community at large. Another thing, la lengua. This one is kind of, it's clearly in Spanish, but we're going to talk later on in the presentation. I'm going to give you guys some colloquialisms particular to Mexico. Mexico is one of the countries in Latin America that has a lot of their own colloquialisms. Lots of them start with the letter CH, and they take a lot of pride in that. So many times you'll see commercials that incorporate their own colloquialisms, dichos mexicanos, or Mexican cultural phrases. Sorry, this keeps getting in my way. You have to forgive me. I'm used to using Teams, so the Zoom is a new experience for me. La comida. So la comida es muy importante. It goes hand in hand with family and the community. It brings everyone together. And this is something that is definitely one of the strong elements. As you guys mentioned, música. You will not see a commercial, a Mexican commercial, that doesn't have music. Imposible. So we're gonna, sorry, do you guys, a quick interruption, do you guys see this panel with all of the, okay, so is there like a better way to put this up somewhere so it's not in the middle of the presentation? Let me see if I can put it up here. Oh, okay, because I want to see you guys while I present, but I don't want it to get in the way of the presentation.
Are you, Yusuf, are you talking about the transcript that's at the bottom, or are you talking, what are you referring to when it's in your way?
All of the participants that are on the call. So they're in the middle of the presentation. So I want you guys to be able to see it. Do you guys see like all of, it says Mount Libo, Matt, you, and Pine Richland? Is there a way I can put it like to the side somehow? That's,
yeah, if you click on view in the top right corner of the Zoom screen, There should be a different option, standard, side by side, gallery.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
wait, Mac. I don't know if it's the same for PCs.
This one will work. This will work here. Okay, good. Thank you. So another thing that you guys mentioned, lots of colors and buzz and flashing and going on. Just in general, I like to call this la energía positiva. So no matter what the product is, you're just going to get a lot of charisma and energy, positive energy. And of course, if you know Dia de los Muertos, for example, you see all the bright colors of all the calaveras and the skulls. In general, Mexican culture is very, very colorful, and it just all types of colors all the time. So that permeates the advertisements as well. And then finally, humor is a big aspect of Mexican culture. I'm sure Matt can testify to that with his colleagues, always cracking jokes. In almost every one of those commercials, I'm not sure if you caught on, but there was like a little joke thrown in there in almost every commercial. So these, we're going to go a little bit more in depth in all these 6 elements: family, la familia, la comunidad, language, la lengua, comida, música, humor, and la energía positiva. So just something that if you try your best to incorporate some of these in your commercial or presentation, you will be successful. So let's start with la familia. As Maya said earlier, I did my first study abroad in Mexico. So I have a very, even though I went to many other countries in Latin America, I have a very special connection with Mexico, since it's the place where I first was introduced to Spanish, y Espanol, and both of these pictures are from my second trip when I was there, when I took students there. So this is actually, this is a group of students from all over the United States, and we went there and spent 4 weeks in Mexico. We actually went to the same city where I did a study abroad, which was really nice. And this was the host family that I had during that trip. So this was about 5 years after I had studied abroad there. So it was really nice to go back and kind of relive my study abroad, but through my own students this time. Pero vamos a hablar sobre la familia. Súper, súper importante. I recommend making your products or your advertisements family friendly. If I'm not mistaken, all of you or some of you are doing some sort of health bar. So that will easily tie into being family friendly. Sounds like a healthy thing. And, everyone in the family everyone wants a healthy family. So that shouldn't be hard to do. So just definitely appeal to the family and by extension, the community. Something that kind of reminds me of what Matt was saying earlier, be a friend before a business partner. So say if you're doing a business proposal and you're working with Mexican businesswomen and businessmen, you want to approach them. You want to be their friend before their business partner. It's really important. This is why small talk is, you should engage in small talk before serious talk. And actually your first meeting or encounter, the whole meeting, you may never even get to business points. Okay. It's all going to be about getting to know each other. They're going to have a lot of questions for you. They want to know a lot about where you're from, what a day in your life feels like. They just want to warm up to you as a friend before you get to the more serious business talking points. So just try your best to be as personable as possible. Again, I'm not sure exactly the format of your presentation or how it's going to go, but it's really good to just to prepare for a simple introduction or greeting. So I would like you to work with a partner or in a small group at your school and just come up with a couple sentences of what you're going to say when you first meet when you first meet the Mexican business men and women in your encounter. So what are some things that you can say to warm up to them, to introduce yourself? If you want to introduce your friend or colleague, in this case, we would say colega or colleague. What are some pleasantries that you could say? So I'll give you a couple minutes to work on that, and then we'll share out. In the meantime, I'm going to play some música ranchera.
Al peligro ya se acostumbró y por eso no le teme a nada. En un Corvette se pasea tranquilo por Tijuana y por Guadalajara, por Los Ángeles y San Francisco y también por Las Vegas, Nevada. Con la mafia se gana.
Bueno, 2 minutos más.
Pero se necesita valor, porque aquí no hay ningún parentesco, no se permite ningún error. Siempre te andas rifando el pellejo, con las leyes o con el patrón.
All right. Who would like to share out? What are some simple pleasantries you can say in the beginning when you're warming up to in the beginning with your business counterparts? Anybody like to share out first? So how would you say, so first of all, you're going to start with saying hi. Probably is going to be in the afternoon. So who can tell me how to say good afternoon? How about? Muy bien. Was that Mount Lebo?
Fine, Richland.
Richland. All right. Hola, buenas tardes. Okay. Muy bien. Okay. So then you probably want to ask how they're doing, how are you gonna, there's a couple ways you could do that. You're probably not going to use, it's formal, even though you want to warm up to them and be friends, it's still formal. So you still want to be respectful. So what's a respectful way to ask, how are you? You probably don't want to use que pasa in this case. But what's one you could say? Our muchacho from Mount Lebo, go ahead.
¿Cómo estás?
Muy bien. So since we're probably gonna use the usted form, so we're gonna go ahead and say ¿Cómo está? Just to be respectful. If they're in the professional sphere, we usually use the usted form to be polite. So ¿Cómo está? Does anybody know another way we can ask how are you doing? It starts with K. This is also appropriate in a formal setting.
¿Qué tal?
Muy bien. So we could say ¿Qué tal? Hola, hola, buenas tardes. ¿Cómo está usted? ¿Qué tal? Okay, muy bien. All right, excellent. So now you probably want to introduce yourself. So how would you introduce yourself? How about you over here from Kappa?
Me llamo, or yo llamas.
Muy bien. Whoever's speaking, ¿Cómo te llamas?
Akiva.
Oh, cool. How do you spell that, amigo?
Akiva.
All right. So you say me llamo Akiva, and then if you want to ask who you're talking to, what's their name? What are you going to say?
¿Cómo se llama?
Excelente. He used the formal usted. ¿Cómo se llama? Or ¿cómo se llama usted? Excelente. Okay, then they're gonna say their name, and then what's a nice way to say nice to meet you?
Mucho gusto.
Mucho gusto, excelente, mucho gusto. Un placer conocerle. A pleasure meeting you. Excelente. I assume that you're going to be with your buddies here. So how would you introduce your colleague or friend? Anybody?
Would you say ellos se llama? Or no?
Yes, that definitely works. You can say mi colega se llama. You can jump in. Let's say, ¿cómo se llama tu colega, Akiva?
Abby.
All right, excelente. Or you could say, if you want to sound a little bit more fancy, quiero presentarle a Abby, or a mi colega Abby. I would like to introduce you to Abby. Quiero presentarle a mi colega Abby. All right. Excellent. So just, even though this may seem a little simple and real basic, you'd be surprised. It goes a long way. Just simply breaking the ice with some small pleasantries like this before you jump right into your presentation. You will already kind of break the ice and already form your first connection. Okay. And then maybe might be a good idea to ask them where they're from, because if you ask them where they're from, that'll inevitably lead to more topics to talk about. So how about we go back to Pine Richland? How do you say where are you from?
¿De dónde eres?
Excelente. ¿De dónde? And we're going to use es this time just in case. It's not going to be es for long, because you're going to warm up to them. They're going to warm up to you, and they're going to be somos amigos, and then that's when you can use the tu form. But until they give you permission, until they give you a green light to not use usted until they give you the green light. All right. ¿De dónde es? Okay. And then they may say, oh, yo soy de Guanajuato or Guadalajara. And Mexico is so big. Each city or pueblo is known for its own thing, and that could lead to other stuff. And then they're going to ask you, where are you from? How are you going to say, I am from Pittsburgh? Kappa? Yeah, Kappa.
Soy de Pittsburgh.
Muy bien. Soy de Pittsburgh. Excelente. And then they're gonna, just like Matt said, they're gonna get all excited. It's like, oh, los Steelers, mi equipo favorito de fútbol americano. And then you're gonna be like, sí, 6 anillos, 6 rings. All right. Bueno, chicos, that's good enough for the introduction. Let's get back to our presentation. All right. Entonces, you guys are all of you doing a health bar, or is one of your groups doing a health bar as the product?
Everyone is going to be presenting on the same product.
Okay, excelente. So if it's a health bar, for example, then that goes hand in hand with la comida. This is I was working at a taco or taqueria in Mexico. Tacos are my favorite. Well, I do love las flautas. Flautas are really, really good. Pero esto es mi amigo Pepe. And mi amigo Martin, he was a German study abroad student, just like me. We were not native speakers. We went there to learn, but I became best friends with him, or he was my best non-Mexican friend, because unlike many other people in Mexico or foreigners in Mexico, they weren't taking the learning experience as serious as I was, but Martin was. He really wanted to learn Spanish, full immersion in Espanol. That's why we became friends. But we're eating some tacos there. This was the number one spot in Guanajuato for tacos. But I will say, el poder del Chile, the power of the Chile. You can find Chile in almost every food in Mexico. So if you are doing something food related, you don't have to do this at all. It's just something that I thought it may be interesting, whether it's on fruit or candy, you name it, there's going to be some Chile powder sprinkled on it. Okay, I'm not kidding. Matt could probably testify to what I'm saying here. So not saying you got to sprinkle Chile powder on your health bar, but I don't know, just something to keep in mind, just an idea. Vamos a hablar un poco sobre la energía positiva. So whenever you're giving your presentation, you want to be very charismatic, and you want to incorporate a lot of colors. As you can see, colors are all over the place in Mexico. Los mexicanos tienen mucha energía positiva. Okay, even though some of these are non-Mexicans, we are just trying to match the same level in energy as Pepe and Jose, our Mexican friend. So just bring on the energy, high energy culture, max out on your charisma. Okay, as you saw in those commercials, they're all, no matter what they're talking about, they just bring a lot of charisma. They're turning up. Anímense mucho. You know what I mean? You don't want to go up there and be dull. You want to use a lot of gestures, have a lot of energy, smile until it hurts. Okay. I was doing some reading, and studies show that Mexicans will endorse the people over the product if they feel the connection. So even if what you're selling is trash, which I'm sure is not the case, if they really like the person behind the business, they'll still endorse it because it's about the connection they feel with the people behind the product. So this is something that I would definitely try to incorporate in your presentation. Just lots of energy, whether it's colors. You yourself should be energetic and bring a lot of charisma. Mexicans tend to gravitate towards people that are charismatic. Okay, they like that a lot. All right, another thing, el humor. So I would definitely say that Mexican second language is humor. They love to play on puns, which is basically doble sentido, things that have double meaning. All my Mexican friends, almost every time I talk to them, there's always some doble sentido thrown into our conversations. They're very good at it, super creative, muy cómico. It's simply part of the Mexican experience, and it has permeated all of the commercials and advertisements in Mexico. Just like those commercials that we saw, they were dropping little jokes here and there. So sometimes you could be funny even without saying specific jokes, but I thought I would share a couple with you just so you can have some in your, just have some jokes up your sleeve just in case. I'll give some jokes that are fully in Spanish, and then maybe some one Spanglish joke that's a little bit easier. All right. ¿Cómo se llama el hermano vegetariano de Bruce Lee? Can anybody, so ¿cómo se llama el hermano vegetariano de Bruce Lee? Anybody,
Broccoli.
Excelente. Who was that? What school was that? Oh, that's all right. Way to go. Way to go. Broccoli. So broccoli is a cognate. It's not spelled that way, of course, but broccoli is the same word in Spanish for broccoli. So broccoli, ha ha ha. What do we have next? ¿Sabes qué le dice un jaguar a otro? So a jaguar, that's a jaguar. Es un animal muy importante en la cultura mexicana y la historia mexicana. Very important animal in Mexican culture and in history. So they know they're jaguars. So sabes que dice, what does the jaguar say to the other one? This one's a little trickier. And it's slightly Spanglish. So this one is, how are you? Because it sounds like, how are you? A lot of these are dad jokes, but I recently became a father, so I have the right to make these corny dad jokes. All right. Let's see here. Let me move this out of the way. All right. So, ¿qué le dijo número 18 a número 2? This one's a little bit more advanced. You have to. Oh, good. Someone's about to say something.
Vete conmigo.
Wow. Was that a teacher or a student? Wow. Qué avanzado. Vente conmigo. Excelente. Because, of course, as you know, 18 needs 2 more to become 20, which looks like 20, 20, but it also, of course, means come with me. Vente conmigo. Excelente. So, geez, if I would have known that you guys are so advanced, I wouldn't have even had this joke. But, of course, you can probably figure this one out. It's a Spanglish joke. What do you say to a chair before leaving? See ya. Excelente. See ya later. So anyways, I will share this presentation with you guys so that you have these jokes and that you also have the cultural phrases and all the tips and stuff. So if you didn't write them down, no problem. You'll have them to your disposal. All right, moving along here. Sorry, I keep having to move this thing. So, la música. So, you know, there's tons of music throughout Latin America and Spain. However, you know, each country has their own music that they gravitate towards, or that they had, or music that has originated from it. So la salsa, it does not come from Mexico, but it's very popular in Mexico. Mark Anthony is or Celia Cruz or Tito Puente or some artistas famosas de salsa. So I highly recommend choosing one of these genres and incorporating them into your commercial or presentation. Música tradicional, this is what I was playing while you guys were coming up with your introductions. So música ranchera, mariachi, Los Tucanes de Tijuana is a very famous group, and they do like more traditional música ranchera sounding music. El Sonidito, this is a very popular song. Mexicans love this song. They play it at almost every party. If you play the song, it'll immediately, you know, get them excited and make them feel upbeat. I put the links to all. It looks like we're running out of time, so we're not going to listen to them now. But I put the links here so you can get a sample of each. And we have, of course, a reggaeton, which some artists include Bad Bunny, Ozuna, Daddy Yankee, J Balvin, por ejemplo. There's a song here by Bad Bunny and J Balvin called Yo Le Llego, pretty popular, cool song. And then finally, electronica. Mexicans love electronica, which is techno music. So they're big fans of techno music. And here are some Mexican techno artists, or they call it electronica. So I highly recommend to incorporate music from one of these genres in your commercial or presentation. All right. So la lengua, the language, these are some popular Mexican sayings, okay? Dichos mexicanos. We have órale. Has anyone heard this before or know what it means? Órale. So orale is basically an affirmation. So in Pittsburgh, I don't know if it's still popular, but we would say like word, word, that's what's up. Yes, it's basically affirming. Like if somebody has a good idea and you agree with it and you want to do it, you would say orale, orale. Sounds good. Basically sounds good. Or bet, or that's what's up, word, orale. You hear it all the time. We have no manches. No manches is like no kidding. It's the polite way of saying no kidding. If there's an impolite version of this, you guys are gonna have to find that on your own when you study abroad in Mexico someday. In the meantime, no manches. No kidding. So if somebody says that they're a big Steelers fan, you can be like, no manches, yo también. Then we have chido. Chido means cool in Mexican slang. So if you say que chido way, that means that's so cool, man. Way is like man. So or dude. Sorry, not man, more like dude. It could refer to a woman as well, or anybody. And that's how you pronounce it, way. So que chido way, that's cool. That's cool, dude. Que chido. And then we have chingon or chingona is like awesome. All right. So maybe in your commercial at the end you say something about the health bar being chingon, chingona. It's the best. It's awesome. And it's, these are all very particular to Mexican culture and colloquialism. So you're definitely appealing to Mexicans by using these phrases. And of course, que chingon is just like saying que chido is like how cool, but que chingon is like taken to another level, like how awesome. Okay, it's like the best, it's the coolest, it's awesome. All right, we have only a couple minutes left, so these are just some quick heads up, ojo, some quick pointers that I have for you before you make your presentation or you make your commercial. So small talk is more important than serious talk. Don't address somebody by the first name. Use usted or señor until they have invited you to do so. All right, or use como está or como se llama until they gave you permission. Solidifying a personal relationship may be the most important thing you do during your first meeting. This, of course, may be applied to when you're actually in Mexico, but since you may not get a second meeting, this might not be that relevant to you guys. But the point is, you want to be as personable as possible. The impression you give can override the business objective. So you could be selling salt to a snail or the most unneeded product ever. But if you're nice and they like you and you're charismatic, they'll buy into it. Okay. Know how to answer the question, how will your product benefit the community, family, and a Mexican representative personally? So personalize whatever you're selling to them, okay? And then finally, trust is really, really important in business interactions in Mexico. So just make eye contact, and you'll really give a good first impression and foster some trust there. So I know that's about all the time we have. I do have a Kahoot prepared to test you on all the things we went over in the presentation. But before that, I would like to open up to questions if you have any questions. Muchas gracias por su atención y participación.
Muchas gracias, señor Abdelwahab.
Un placer.
Are there any questions for Señor Abdelwahab? Related to language, culture, his experience? Well, since there are no questions, do you want to
do the Kahoot?
Play the game? Vamos a jugar
Vamos a jugar, pues. So if you guys just go, you know how this goes. Estudiantes, go ahead and join with that pen. If you want to.
We just type in the pen, or do you need to give us to log into the site?
All you need, all they need, the students know. I see somebody. Yeah, there you go. Go ahead. You could to make it quicker. Yeah, you could just do it as a school. You could have one for Pine Richland, una para Capa, otro para Mount Lebo. Muy bien. All right, let's begin. And okay, cool. We good to go then? Listos? All right, let's see a little competition here. Get this out of the way. Una broma para empezar. All right, todo perfecto. Vente conmigo. Cierto o falso? Getting your business objectives across is more important than fostering relationship. Falso, excelente. It's fine to address someone by their first name when you first meet them. Muy bien. Capa 1 is encendido, lit, on fire. ¿Cómo se dice cool en México? Chido, excelente. Mexican advertisements are usually not family friendly. Falso, most of the time they're family friendly. Excelente. ¿Cómo se dice no kidding en México? No manches. Ustedes son muy inteligentes. Quiero robarles de sus maestros. Small talk before serious talk. Sí. Warm up to them as a friend before a business partner. ¿Cierto o falso? Cierto. Le gusta reírse mucho en México. Muchas bromas, bromistas. Chile. That's up to you whether or not you want to incorporate that. Dos más. Which musical genre is the least popular of these in Mexico? Muy bien. Oh, okay. So where does merengue come from? Extra credit. Where does merengue come from? Anybody know? It's from the Caribbean. Can anybody say the country in the Caribbean it comes from?
Dominican Republic.
Excelente. La República Dominicana, Dominican Republic. It's an awesome genre, but not as popular in Mexico. Oops, sorry, did I cover that? And then one more to go here. Last one. Cierto. Wow, you guys son muy inteligentes. So we have tercer lugar, Pine Richland. Muy bien. Segundo, tenemos Mount Lebo in the house. Y número uno, ¿quién es? Papa 2. Bravo. Y también shout out to Kappa 1. All right, let me get in here. Okay, I guess I'm gonna stop sharing.
Thank you again. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I'm asking quickly if there are any follow-up questions, if we can thank our speakers for their energy and their time with us today. We look forward to seeing schools on May 3rd for the competition. This year, we're going to do the hybrid version, so we will open it up to in-person for the teams that prefer to come in to the University of Pittsburgh in person. Otherwise, we'll see you also virtually if you decide to participate virtually. At this time, again, I want to just offer my thanks to our speakers and to all of you for coming in during your school day, and wish you all the luck and see you all soon. If you have any other questions about the presentations, feel free to, through your teachers, contact us, and I will also make sure to share the presentation that Senor Abdullah had offered. And Matt, if you also wish to share your presentation, I'm happy to forward that onto the teachers and their teams. Students.
Sure, not a problem. Thanks.
Great.
Yeah, thank you very much, and best of luck. Buena suerte.
Gracias.
Sí.
All right, that concludes our day. Have a good rest of the day and see you all soon.